Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm your host, Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Streetside Brewery. Look, these guys make some of the best beer in Cincinnati, and that is saying something given the breweries in this city. Streetside is located in the Columbia-Tusculum neighborhood over on the east side of Cincinnati, an awesome place to catch an FCC game and really just to kick back and relax and enjoy a nice cold brew. Coming up this week at Streetside on May 10th, well, it is Steve Day. Yes, that's right. It is a celebration of all the Steves. If you can show up with an ID that in any way, shape, or form could be construed as having the name Steve on it, well, you get $1 off your pint. As well, on May 11th, they've got live music from Daniel Berman featuring Roman Marion. That is starting at 3 going until 6. And as always, if you drop the Postcast name when you are buying your beer, they will knock $1 off of your beer over at Streetside. Awesome deal. Love that they've been sponsoring us through this season. It's been a great relationship, and I really hope to be getting another live show out there for you guys at some point in the future. They are located, like I said, in the Columbia-Tusculum neighborhood. Check them out, Streetside Brewery. And again, a huge thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. And on this episode, we are talking about an FC Cincinnati win, or at least a win that doesn't quite 100% feel like a win. It's hard to really put into focus what this game meant in Orlando. It was a win. FC Cincinnati did win. Very exciting. Wasn't the best performance, though, so we do dive into that. In part 2, we touch on a little bit of FCC news, some MLS news as well, looking at the table, looking at maybe who's at the top of the table on that one. And then in part 3, we are answering your Patreon questions. We get into some deep theory on fast food in that one. You put it all together and you have a delicious episode of the Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined, for, I guess at the moment, by just the Chief. Chief, how you doing?
Oh, it's a beautiful night here in Cincinnati. Summer feels like it's finally here. I don't know. It's one of those nights where if I wasn't on with you, talking all things soccer and the FC, I might be out on my front porch with a beverage. Just got that kind of vibe to it tonight. Yourself?
Yeah, no, there's definitely fire pit weather. Let me ask you this. Do you have your tonsils?
I do, in fact, yes.
I also have my tonsils.
Tonsil club right here. That might mean something different depending on context, but...
That's a good point. Maybe we don't emphasize that one.
Right.
But
Nancy
new in
Reagan
our
approves of
family, our 4-year-old had his tonsils taken out on
Friday.
There
we go. Ice cream time.
It's all ice cream, popsicles, and mashed potatoes in this family. However, so the food part of this has not been an issue. That's fine.
Yeah.
Convincing a 4-year-old that if he runs around too much, is flailing around too much, he may end up back in the hospital has proved virtually impossible. Yeah. I am convinced this kid's going right back to the emergency room.
It really is difficult to explain cause and effect to a toddler. Famously, toddlers bad at understanding that if-then statements. Not great computer programmers, I don't think.
It's like by definition what they are bad at, right? So this is really fun.
I attended a 4-year-old's birthday party on Saturday, and
Nice.
We saw that firsthand. Happy birthday, Henry! I know you listen in the car with my sister, so he'll know. I am talking to you, Henry. That's correct. He gets really mad because he wants to listen to his music, and he gets really mad that Uncle Chief is on the radio instead, and he doesn't like that at all.
Aww.
And then I accompanied my nephew to see. Did you know that this is the 25th anniversary? This will make you feel old. 25th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 1 being released. And I went back to the theaters to watch episode 1 on Sunday. So
how
with
did
my
it
nephew.
hold up? And with a nephew?
He moves a little slow for a 4-year-old. I'll probably say that. It's You can definitely tell it's cinema from a previous era of cinema. It's not the frantic, high-paced go that modern movies even have. And that's saying something because, again, it doesn't feel like it's 25 years since that cultural phenomenon happened. And my review remains the same as it was 25 years ago, and that's that there is a really good idea here that probably needed about 2 more script revisions and at least someone in the orbit of George Lucas to tell him, maybe you're not a genius that can just go on the first draft. Maybe we need to rethink this a little bit.
First off, I thought for sure you're going to tell me you took your 4-year-old nephew to the, I think it was the 28-hour screening of all 9 Star Wars movies.
I feel like that's an aggressive move for a 4-year-old.
I think it's an aggressive move for any age.
I'd
so
do it.
Glad it wasn't that.
28 hours, I could do that.
I mean, it could be fun.
When I was in high school, when they did the re-releases, me and 2 friends, we went to the box office and bought a ticket for A New Hope, Empire immediately after, and Return of the Jedi immediately after, all at the same time, and just triple featured for an entire day.
Wow, that's great.
It'll surprise you to learn I didn't date much in high school.
I was going to say, it definitely did the Lord of the Rings extended cut, back to back to back, so that's good.
Famously, that's not a project you bring your girlfriend to.
No, but I was going to say, I'm a big believer in the machete order of the Star Wars films. Are you familiar with the machete order?
I am, in fact. The idea being, obviously, that episode 1 is completely forgettable, and everything you need to know about episode 1 is told to you in enough detail in episode 2 that you can probably infer everything you need to know. That it's almost like a optional prequel to when the movie series officially starts. I buy that. I like that idea. Because it's funny when you go back and you watch episode 1 again, you realize they don't introduce the name of Liam Neeson's character, Qui-Gon Jinn, until 45 minutes into the movie. I've never seen another movie like this where you don't learn the main character's name isn't told to you until you're like 3 reels into the movie, which is just a bananas writing choice.
He's probably closer to his on-screen death to his name than he is to the beginning of the film.
I don't think you're wrong about that. That's actually interesting. I should look that up.
Yeah, I mean, the machete order, if somebody is not familiar, if you've never watched the Star Wars films, I do think this is a good way to do it, which is you watch episodes 4 and 5, so A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Then you go back in time at the Darth Vader reveal to episodes 2 and 3 to get the sort of like prequel flashback. Wait, how did this happen? And then you wrap it all up with Return of the Jedi. And
definitely pretend the sequels don't exist. We're just done there. Yeah. Everybody lives happily ever after.
I can maybe give you 7, but that's about it.
Do you throw the Clone Wars in there as well? So do you do, in the new machete order, would you do episode 2, the full run of the Clone Wars, and then I mean, the machete order is old enough. I would probably say that you want to throw the Clone Wars in there. You'd want to throw maybe Andor in there. And then maybe after Andor, hit up Rogue One and then go right into or do you start with Rogue One before?
Yeah, see, this is wild. I don't know. So the machete order made sense when there were 6 films. And then they kept adding, and the TV shows make it weird. So I think if you look at it film only, so we'll set the TV shows only aside. I think absolutely you could do Rogue One into A New Hope. I think that works. And I think it sets the stakes really nicely. And I think Rogue One does a better job, and Andor as well. But I think Rogue One does a better job of explaining, or demonstrating how the Empire is truly bad. Like, if you just watch Rogue One, or if you just watch A New Hope, sorry. I mean, they just are sort of like nameless, faceless.
Like 70s space Nazis a little bit.
Yeah, they blow up Alderaan, but
We don't know. Did Alderaan? What was Alderaan doing up at 2 a.m.? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, many people are asking this question.
Look, if somebody was awake at 2 a.m. on Alderaan, you can't blame the Empire.
No, not at all. And like, what did Alderaan say to the Death Star? We don't have all these things. What was it doing picking a fight with the Death Star out that late?
Well, that first off, for damn sure, and also the Empire's point. So
right, it was in the way.
Princess Leia just had to keep running.
Have we ever had a May the 4th day at TQL Stadium? I feel like we're always on the road for this particular holiday.
I think we've had at least one, because they gave out, one of them had a commemorative paper ticket for it.
Oh. I love Star Wars. I know here's a hot take. I love Star Wars Day.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it's cheesy. I know that it's stupid. I know that everybody hates it. The mascot did dress up like a Jedi. They play cheesy music, and the Jumbotron graphics are awful, and it's all sorts of Star Wars nonsense. But you know what? Fuck you. I put up with all sorts of your fun. The rest of you, I put up with all your nonsense. You can put up with Star Wars Day for one day for me, an aging nerd that grew up when Star Wars wasn't cool.
I did appreciate, not to accidentally bring this into the match, but I did appreciate that the Orlando City fans did a fairly deep cut Star Wars tifo. I don't know if you saw this.
I did
Chief.
not.
It was "To Me You Are Nothing," and I'm fairly certain that is a Darth Revan quote.
Really? If they're pulling Darth Revan out of their back pocket, that's respect right there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went like a Knights of the Old Republic quote.
Hell yeah. Okay. All right, Orlando, I see you up here. And, going old expanded universe for the Chief. I like this.
What I can only assume was that in the moments that it was up, Lucha scored. It really took all the wind out of their sails.
Yeah, Lucha, the true Sith Lord.
So yeah, of course, you got the old Galaxy's Edge and Batu and the Darkspire outpost and the RIP Galactic Star
Hyper
Cruiser.
Yeah. Who would have thought building a $5,000 immersive experience for 48 hours would not attract a lot of attention in this economy?
Did they think that the LARPers were wealthy?
Maybe.
I've never assumed LARPers are wealthy. I'm sure there are wealthy LARPers, but in general, I assume those were two distinct groups.
Yeah, they don't really strike me as like, your Wall Street types and your people to have $5,000 worth of disposable income that they're just going to spend on that. Right. Maybe they'll buy the $400 Saber replica. That's in the price range, but you're up into a different income bracket when you're targeting people that can spend the equivalent of, a full year of season tickets to a sports team for two on 48 hours of an immersive experience.
Yeah.
Or like a full European vacation for 2 days.
So if people aren't familiar with this, God, just going to keep explaining weird nerd things to people before we actually talk about this game.
Here's the problem. There was only 17 seconds of action in this game. So we're going to have to try and stretch an entire podcast out of 17 seconds of really cool shit. And then 89 minutes and 53 seconds of the worst goddamn soccer you have ever seen.
We're going to spend the rest of this time figuring out how we can retcon the entire sequel trilogy.
I have thoughts on that too, but that's a much longer podcast. We're going to need Grayson on for that one so that he can tell me I'm a dork.
But if folks are curious, the Star Cruiser from Disney was hysterical. It was, as Chief described, a 48 to 72 hour experience where you got to dress up as a Star Wars character, go what was essentially like on a cruise ship in the Star Wars universe, where every staff member you interacted with was like in character. Think like murder mystery dinner-esque thing, where everybody there is playing a character. There were windows that looked out into there were TV screens that looked out into space. So everything was very immersive. You're eating weird space food and eating weird space drinks. And there was some sort of overarching narrative that went on, but then you got to take an excursion at night to the Star Wars land at Disney World. And that was kind of the highlight of your experience there. So yeah. And it cost an arm and a leg, literally thousands of dollars for a couple of days experience. And Disney shut it down after like a couple of years because they could not book full cruises of this thing. Oof.
Yeah. $5,000. Yeah. And then you wonder why they keep churning out crap product, because they have ideas like this. They had a preview for The Acolyte at the end of episode 1 in theaters, and they've got me back. I'll be watching. Damn
it looks fun. It looks fun.
Stupid mouse.
Is it so Acolyte is Old Republic? Yes.
It is. Carrie-Anne Moss is a badass Jedi. And you know what? Again, as an aging nerd, Carrie-Anne Moss, I'll forever remember her in The Matrix, and she always does it for me. So there we go.
Perfect.
She's been trading on that role for, again, 25 years, and I'm okay with that. I guess it is kind of relevant we're talking all this, since, this is all based in Orlando, and we did play Orlando. So, yeah, this is relevant to the game. We're discussing the opponent's, general vicinity of things in the area.
That's what I'm saying. This is Orlando's culture. They used it in their TIFO. I mean,
this is good stuff here.
This is what happened. But we probably should talk about this game. Just a smidgen of game talk, shall we?
Yeah.
Let me get the lineup out there.
We'll start with the lineups. Yes, I was about to suggest.
So FC Cincinnati, I don't think any surprises in the lineup. We had Roman Celentano return to the lineup. What we can only assume was drinking a Ghost energy drink.
Recurring guest Roman Celentano.
Recurring guest. Yeah, I mean, you got to show up once to start the recurring.
Right.
The back line, Ian Murphy, Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson, that is left to right. Luca Orishano as your left wing back, DeAndre Yedlin as your right wing back, Buka Wobodo and Lucho Acosta, your midfield trio, with Corey Baird and Yuya Kubo up top. No surprises, right? Like, I guess maybe the surprise was Celentano was back, but it really looked like he was headed that way.
Yeah, he'd been a full training participant for 2 weeks. They'd given him the extra week off, I guess, because there was some rust there. And I think we all expected him to start. He indicated in the interview when we had him on last week, he was prepping as if he was going to start. And I guess the only bit of intrigue, if you could even call it that, was when whether or not Kevin Kelsy would get the start. And I guess you could, if you squinted hard enough, you could make a case for Kevin Kelsy immediately jumping into the lineup. But, it was by no means a foregone conclusion. And if we've learned one thing about Pat Noonan, is that Pat Noonan does not always start you on your when you debut with the club. You'd like to make the debut off the bench. So given that, yeah, this is the lineup that they've been successful and they've seen success with for 2 straight weeks now. No reason to have expected it to change as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this is not to upset anybody. I think this is where the Open Cup would have been useful, because I could have definitely seen Kevin Kelsy make his debut starting in an Open Cup matchup leading up to this. But yeah, league game, you definitely would expect him to be on the bench. I personally was hoping he would start, because it really seems like the fact that it's a loan, the fact that it's a huge transfer fee, potentially, purchase option on top of that, it really feels like he's a guy that they are expected to use quite a bit. And if you're already committing to using him quite a bit, you might as well throw him up top and see what you got against a team that had been struggling going into this one. So I could have seen it.
It's the old Steve Spurrier line. Whatever you're going to do inevitably, you may as well do immediately. If it's inevitable that Kevin Kelsy is going to play significant minutes for this team, he may as well start getting those minutes immediately and work out whatever it is that he needs to work out on the field. Yeah, but in the absence of that, this is the A team for FC Cincinnati right now. I don't think they can put a better lineup out right now with the parts they have than this lineup right here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand some people might quibble about where Haglund stands on the depth chart, but I think it is clearly Ian Murphy's the third best center back and has that job until something else forces that decision. I think against a generic opponent, Ian Murphy is getting written in there.
I think it's to the point now where Murphy's only being dropped for injury or for a significant amount of poor performance.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's at right now. And if you watch this game, he did nothing but verify that with his play in this game, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, for anything else in this game, you got to come away believing in our center backs even more. I think that's how I feel anyway. I felt supremely confident in our defense at the end of this game.
So let's why don't we do this? Let's talk about there really are
two. Wait, Lucho Acosta just scored right 17 seconds into the preview.
That was cool. All right. Like that was what was really funny about that is if you go back and you watch the Apple TV recap, because if you don't know, I don't know how you don't know this, but when you go back to the games, one of the options Apple TV gives you for every MLS game after the game is completed is they will condense the game down to 7 minutes, and that will give you a curated look at the biggest moments in the game. And usually they will post the lineups to start this. They will show kickoff, and they will immediately cut to whatever the next highlight is. So you always get to see the kickoff, and you always get to see the final whistle. And then in between that is the 7 minutes of action. In this game, they show the lineups, they show kickoff, and then they stay with kickoff because the sequence that leads to Lucho's goal starts the build up to that goal starts with the kickoff. It's two passes, and then the ball ends up on the foot of DeAndre Yedlin, who plays a just perfectly weighted over the top ball to Lucho, who has gone completely unnoticed. I assume it's because he's so short. He's so small, he's evading their turbo lasers and gets behind the defense. He fakes one guy so badly out of his cleats he falls down, cuts the ball back inside. Yuya Kubo doing a nice bit of movement to draw at least one defender with him. And then Lucho calmly, as you would like, slots the ball directly past the keeper. 17 seconds in, the FC up 1-0, and man, was I feeling good right there. At that moment, I was like, finally, we're playing a bad defense. We get to pour it on here. Let's get 4 or 5 goals. Hey, let's win a game by more than one goal, huh? Yeah.
By the way, FC Cincinnati still has yet to do that in a match this season. In a league match, I should say.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
You know, is there a more deflating thing in a soccer game than going down in the first minute? Like that you're going to be chasing this game for potentially 90 minutes. That has to be the worst. Has that happened to us? I feel like it has, but I don't think I've ever been there for it.
You know, I feel like we've had some quick goals. I think of Edgar Castillo against Crew.
Oh, no. Against us. Has that happened? Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. I can think of like a couple of instances where we did it, but I can't think of a good one where it happened to us. I'm sure it has. Yeah, we've played enough soccer at this point, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, it's backbreaking. Now, I will say, maybe for a team like Orlando, and I think, so cards on the table, I'm less pessimistic about this game than I feels like the entire internet. So I'll stay that up front. But Orlando is a team that on paper is very good. They are not a whole lot different than the team that last year honestly pushed us for the Supporters Shield, finished second in that race, and is a team that this year and last year expected to compete for titles. They've gotten off to an awful start this year, and it feels like conceding that goal right away just pissed them off more than anything, and let them get whatever nerves or bad karma or whatever they were feeling out of the way, and that they could just play now with house money because it didn't matter anymore. They were already losing. And we'll talk about the red card here. They do pick up a red card pretty quickly, but even with that, they don't stop pressing. They don't stop attacking. It's actually very admirable for a team that should have had their backs broken 17 seconds in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Oscar Perea is a very good manager. I think that we would all agree on that he's very good. His teams play a very aggressive defensive style. They're very annoying to play. They're pesky. They play a pesky style of soccer. It's akin to the Red Bulls style, except they don't flop quite as much as the Red Bulls do. It's not as infuriating from that point of view, but this is a team that has historically given FC Cincinnati problems. We haven't beaten them in forever prior to this game. I don't think we've ever beaten them, honestly.
We beat them in 2022 once, but last year in the 2 matchups, they were literally the only team that we faced that we didn't beat last year. Yeah. Just wild to think about.
I don't know. So Lucho scores this goal, and it feels like as soon as he scores that goal, like you said, it pisses them off. And immediately they start to exploit weaknesses from FC Cincinnati. And so kind of what I want to talk about and pick your brain on a little bit here as the bigger soccer expert than I am is some of the bigger issues I saw in this game. And we can sort of weave in and out the moments as they happen here. But right after the goal, the first thing that I notice is that immediately their press gets much higher up the field. This is before they go down a man. So this is after the goal. Their press gets way high up the field, and we are utterly incapable of breaking their press. It's ineffective, our attempts to break the press. And this is something that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I have noticed this entire year that we have been really poor, or I'll say we have struggled mightily to break high presses. Why are we struggling so much to break high presses in a league where the most successful teams high press relentlessly? We want to press relentlessly, but the problem is we advance the ball into the opponent's third so infrequently, we don't have opportunities to press. We would want to, but we get high press relentlessly, and it seems like it's super effective against what Pat Noonan and FC Cincinnati is trying to do. Why is that?
Yeah, so this has been a flaw of Pat Noonan's system basically since it's been implemented. We saw it last year. Think of some of the better pressing teams in this league. New York Red Bulls. Yeah, awful games. A team that did this very successfully last year, St. Louis City. Anybody remember how that game went? Not great. And like we said, we did not beat Orlando last year. We drew them once and they beat us at home. They were the first team to beat us at home. Took the shine off the old fortress there. So what I think happens here is that ideally you would pass your way out of a press. And while in general, if you look at the stats, our guys were actually like weirdly good at passing. All of our midfielders have really solid passing stats. Obi wasn't dispossessed once this game. And I don't think on vibes I would have believed that. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that stat at all. That does not compute with the eyeball test, where with my eyes I saw Obi make multiple passes that I would generously call hospital balls, where this entire year I've noticed Obi is having a real tough time weighting passes, where balls move too slowly or the ball isn't weighted properly and it allows the defender to close out and intercept the ball. Yeah, that's tough for me to believe. Even in this game, that's tough for me to believe.
Yeah. So he ends up with a 91% passing accuracy stat, having missed 4 passes, according to FOTMob here. 2 for 2 accurate long balls. Like you said, I agree with you. I don't buy it. So it doesn't feel that way. But this is what I think. So the key to breaking the press, if you can't pass out of it, is to go over top of it. And the thing here is exactly what Kelsy was brought in to do. It's what Brandon Vasquez offered us is somebody to hold on to the ball when you pass it over the top. So with Vasquez, we could hit it over the top. He could hold on to the ball and everybody could rush in around him and he could lay things off on either side of him to on-rushing attackers and set up the attack, right? So that just isn't possible right now. So they're forced to play every ball into the press. And I mean, I hate to say this, but like some of these MLS teams are pretty good at this, and they get us. They eat our lunch, and it takes one mistake, one miscue, one overhit ball, one underhit ball, and it's off to the races. We're back to playing defense again. Now, the positive of this is that we're really good at playing defense. And so this really ended up being a weird game where they go down a man early, but they keep pressing. So we're on the front foot. We can't break the press, but they also didn't have the firepower or the manpower to beat our defense. We ended up in a weird stalemate all game. Like there were moments where teams broke through. FCC had shots on target in this game outside of Lucha's attack, which again doesn't feel that way.
Right.
But it just ended up being a weird stalemate. I think this game, if you go back and watch this game, you can very clearly and distinctly break this up into like it's the neatest thing. It's like a Kit Kat bar of a game. You can break this game up perfectly at the 30th minute and the 60th minute. And the 0 to 30 is a very different game than the 30 to 60, which is a very different game than the 60 to 90. Because in 0 to 30, we have Acosta's goal. Orlando picks up a red card, and Martin Ojeda, who I think ran for president from 2016, gets injured in the 28th minute. Radically changes how Orlando approaches the next half hour. At almost exactly 60 minutes, DeAndre Yedlin and Lucho Acosta get hurt. And that changes what is possible at that point. And, oh, by the way, Kevin Kelsy subs in then. So if you were trying to say, oh, Kevin Kelsy doesn't play well in this system, well, yeah, you had Brett Halsey and Dado Valenzuela behind him. Instead, it's very different than a Yedlin Acosta team. Everybody can admit that. So, yeah, this is a very weird game that I think you can divide up into thirds very cleanly.
Yeah, the issue for me is that when I watch this team, okay, so the passing stats are what they are. I just don't see that this team is moving the ball crisply. Like there's a very distinct difference between that. An accurate pass is probably defined, I would guess, as any pass that reaches its target, correct?
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between a pass that reaches its target, that's passed quickly, that's passed with pace, and that's passed in such a way that it can advance forward. But there are so many passes that this team hits where they think too long about what they're going to do. The ball is sort of, it's hit with enough pace to get there, but it's not moving much faster than the defense is. So that by the time the ball gets there, the defender gets there. And it's a lot of, there was a big distinct difference between the way FC Cincinnati was passing in this game and Orlando was passing in this game. Orlando was passing instinctively and with purpose. It was bang, bang, the ball pinging quickly, never staying in one spot. Whereas when Cincinnati had the ball, when we had the ball, it was a lot of not sure what to do, not sure where this goes. Okay, I'll kick it over here. But I'm not really like kicking it with authority, like I know what's happening. It's more, he seems like he's open right here, so I'll get the ball over there. But there just wasn't much purpose to what was going on. And it was sort of frustrating to watch because it never seemed like we were moving through the gears. Like I can probably count on one hand how many passes where it was like, oh, that's a dangerous ball that they passed through. I mean, Dado has one very late in the game to Yuya Kubo, but there weren't a lot of really unlocking passes. There weren't a lot of good runs. Even when we go up a man, it wasn't like there was good threatening attacks that were made as a result of that. It was just sort of, everyone seems very unsure right now. Everyone seems very not sure what they're doing, not sure where their movement should be. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into one game, But, and then the other thing too is that, so Yu Kubo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You're 1v1 with the keeper. You can't get caught from behind. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that, you know, VAR awards the red card, the dogso, the denial of a goal scoring opportunity, which I will go to my grave believing that you should get a PK off that. It should be hockey rules. I know Tom Galoiter famously got that one wrong a few years ago, thinking a penalty would be awarded. But I don't know. Red cards are harsh, but when you're 1v1 versus the keeper, maybe what it should be is a red card and a running PK. Like, bring those back.
I love a running PK. Yes.
I love a good running PK, too. I think that any excuse to bring the running PK back is a good excuse. But, man, to not even get a shot off, like try to chip the keeper or something, and it looked like he had a chance to do that and get caught from behind. He kind of gets bailed out by the red card because the defender had clearly caught back up to him. And if it's a better challenge, he's going to win that cleanly.
It looked pretty clean in real time, which made it super annoying. And then watching the replay, I'll admit, my first thought was, oh, Kubo went to ground because he realized he got. Like,
yeah.
It was only, you know, looking at like the third replay, you're like, oh, his foot catches him at the very end there. But man, yeah, it's got to be better there. And that's that striker's instinct, that poacher's instinct, the nose for goal, as they say.
Right.
It's just missing from this team that, like, yes, Kubo and Baird put in the work and they do everything right. And sure, they score goals, but they don't have that lethal finisher's instinct to, you know, just punish an opponent for a mistake there. And again, a lot of hopes and dreams on a 19-year-old coming to us from Ukraine. But, like, yeah, hope that's what you get with Kevin Kelsy. And that is what, you know, we saw plenty of moments of with Boupendza. So, yeah, it's very frustrating and completely agree. Like, Kubo should have done much better there. And sure, a red card is nice, but
this team, well, okay, question 2 then.
Yeah.
All right, to that point. A red card is nice for every team other than FC Cincinnati.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, why are we so bad at playing up a man? And let me tell you what my theory is right now.
Please.
All right. My theory is this team is afraid of success. That they are, or if they're not afraid of success, they are afraid of bad sportsmanship and embarrassing an opponent. Like, other teams will run the score up on bad teams. Other teams will run the score up when they have the man advantage. I believe we don't find that sporting. And because we don't find that sporting, we're not going to rub it in when you're up a man.
Yeah, I buy it. Honestly, because I literally have no idea. I can't explain it. Like, you would expect over the course of many years now that one time we would play a team that goes down a man and we might play better, or we might expose them for having one fewer human being on the field than we do. And it never happens. It's like a superpower that the other team gets. That they just, everybody gets, 1.5 times better when they lose a man when they play us. I do not understand it. For the longest time, we had a losing or a negative goal differential up a man. And that might still be the case.
I mean, we didn't make it better in this game.
There was no dent made here. So
do you also think, is it one of those things where maybe you're supposed to count to see how many players the other side has, and the other side isn't actually sending the man off and we just keep not noticing? Is that also an option, perhaps?
I've seen this happen in youth soccer plenty of times. It's possible.
But they're sneaking an extra guy out there?
Look, the NFL has teams running out there with 12, 13 guys in a play and getting away with it occasionally.
Right.
I don't see why it couldn't happen for a little bit during an MLS game. In general, I do think there's something to be said for 5 substitutes minimizes the overall effect, but I mean, there's one fewer person. Just keep passing it around. And they did. FCC dominates the possession stats, dominates overall passing stats. So, like, it's not like Orlando put it to FCC necessarily. It was just a very movable object ran into a very stoppable object. It was just,
I don't know. I'm curious. Someone smarter than me at like soccer tactics would have to break it down. Although I did get someone in the DMs that suggested this, and I'd give them a shout out. But it's the DMs. I respect the privacy of the DMs.
Fair.
This was the quote. I think Noonan is a good coach and deserves tons of credit for where we are. I'm not sure he's a great coach. He has a system, and it's a good system, but he is just not agile and flexible when things change. Is there something to the idea that when you go up a man, you also kind of need to change what you're doing a little bit, and you need to put your foot down on the accelerator, get more aggressive, take advantage of the fact that you do have the extra man advantage? And do we just not have the flexibility? Are we so rigid that we don't have that, different club in the bag for this particular shot?
I think I buy it because, remember, we talked about this with Boupendza earlier this season while he was having his struggles, that they decided to bench him in order to maintain the formation rather than change the formation to match the player that they had. Now, is the overall system that, of course, you've been acquiring players for and training youth teams for more important than one player? Yeah, probably. But like for one game, you couldn't test it out, see if you didn't have something else with a 4-3-3 or something like that. I'm not saying it would have solved things, but I did think it was interesting that they were willing to sacrifice a DP to the system. And like I said, with Ojeda going down, they changed their tactical approach to this game quite a bit. The red card, of course, then changed further what they were doing, and FCC didn't adapt at all. And even when Halsey gets his red card, the immediate sub is for Alvis Powell. Like, there has to be a wing back on the right side.
There must always be a Stark and Winterfell. There must always be a wing back on the right side.
There's no version of this where Miles Robinson shifts over or Kubo, who was on the field at that point, shifts into that role or something. There's no other creative thought. It was, oh my God, we need a wingback in there. We'll just play with one fewer striker or something.
May I make another observation and see if you agree with? I was very jealous in this game of Orlando's set piece delivery because every set piece ball they popped in, it was with pace. It was to a spot. It was to a dangerous spot. They almost scored, I think, 2 or 3 goals off set pieces in the first half. A set piece opportunity from a fantastic, I think they would say, hit with venom is how a British commentator may describe it. Hit with venom, and then finds its way to the foot of one of their players who strikes the crossbar, not too far off from scoring a goal. I miss that for us because we don't have anyone, I think, that delivers the set piece ball with any kind of like, oh, that seems dangerous.
It's true. And as long as they're letting old Lucho take so many of these, it's just going to continue, right?
And it's just, they're looping. Like when Lucho hits a ball, it loops. When Orlando is hitting balls, there was some, you just would need to get ahead to that. You wouldn't need to get ahead, like, put a lot of power from yourself. The ball was going to generate a lot of the force you needed to score a goal in those situations. And it just seems very difficult for us to score goals on set pieces.
And it makes sense. Duncan Maguire's, I think, 6'1". They might list him a little higher than that. But yeah.
A lot of force. A lot of force.
Driven ball to the big guy up top's forehead and let him, turn it the other way and score. And yeah, that's not really what Baird and Kubo are offering you. Again, It's what Kevin Kelsy looks like he's going to be able to offer going forward. But yeah, as long as Lucho's doing these weird looping things, or Lucho has this weird habit of way over hitting balls. It's like he lets his emotions out into the ball rather than focusing on what is needed at that moment. Dark horse candidate here for you. I think Buka needs to be on free kick delivery.
Strongest man on the team. We know this already. Many people are saying.
He's going to give you that driven ball, right? Like that's all that time of the leg press.
Any man that can put 2 plates up with ease on the weight bench, you know he's racking and stacking on these kicks. I made a joke that Lucho has Lucho ball A and Lucho ball B from the corner. Lucho ball A doesn't beat the first man.
Yes.
And Lucho ball B is looped to the back post about maybe say 5 to 6 yards past the post, heading out towards the end line to where nothing can actually be done with it. And it's just a question. You're just flipping a coin whether you're getting A or B from Lucho.
He doesn't.
Neither one of those are going to score a goal either.
He's been so bad at it for so many years now. It'd be one thing if it was a new thing. We saw this 2 years ago, and he continues to be on the set piece. Wouldn't
you love if somebody in one of those post-match press conferences just asked Pat Noonan straight up, so what's up with Lucho on the set pieces? Because it seems like nothing works. Does he look better in practice?
Yeah, right. Pat, does this work in training? Because it has worked maybe twice, I think, in real game situations.
Like it worked in that one, was it the Chicago game, where inexplicably they wouldn't defend the low corner. They were the first team in recorded history that didn't defend that, and we scored a goal. I think Miles Robinson got one there. I
think that says more about the Chicago Fire than it did about Lucho on that night.
Yeah, it's not great.
So
next question for you then.
Please.
Did Brett Halsey have the worst shift in FC Cincinnati history?
Oh, man. Look, I'm not going to lie.
From an outfield player, because it's going to be really hard to top that Cody Cropper effort versus NYCFC or whatever the hell was going on in that 7-1 game against Minnesota United for, I think Teton was in goal, maybe?
Teton, but really you could blame virtually every player on the field.
Right. In terms of an actual an outfield player, is this the worst shift an FC Cincinnati player has ever put in?
I mean, again, I'm gonna present to you some stats that you will not believe. Okay,
sure.
19 touches on the ball.
Okay.
Dispossessed once.
Cool.
75% passing accuracy, which granted could be higher. 2 for 5 ground duels 1.
Wow.
1 for 2 tackles 1.
Wow.
Committed 2 fouls. Look.
Okay, let's talk about those 2 fouls.
These are not the stats of somebody who did an amazing job.
Yeah, hold up here for a second. We gotta cook here for a minute. So yes, that is in fact correct. But I think that there's some more important stats for Kevin. Do you have the stats in front of you right there by any chance?
I sure do. Yes.
All right. Can you read for me the stat for how many minutes did Brett Halsey play on this fine Saturday night? May the 4th be with you.
You'd say a very impressive 24 minutes.
24 minutes. And so in what minute did he receive his first yellow card?
I don't have that one. It was the 56th minute.
Okay, and when did he come into the game?
The 56th minute.
Okay, so within 1 minute of coming in, he picks up his first yellow card. And when did he pick up his second yellow card, pray tell? When did his night end?
Well, that would be the 78th minute there, Chief.
So he comes on in 22 minutes, picks up 2 yellow cards, and in those 22 minutes, erases the man advantage that FC Cincinnati has.
Which I will say, as we've said before, FCC's not good playing up a man. He did us a favor. He leveled the stakes.
Is this some galaxy brain shit that Brett Halsey recognized that the team is bad a man up? So we're going to fix that situation right quick.
The only winning move is not to play, and he really took that to heart.
Yeah. Would you like to play a game, Joshua?
Yeah. Okay. So I will say on the second yellow.
Defend your boy here.
on the second yellow. That was one of the harshest things I've ever seen. It is barely kicking the ball away. It could just as easily have been interpreted as him giving the ball back to Orlando.
Aggressively.
And I think he was fouled on the play and is rightfully upset by how that was officiated right there. And he didn't boot it into the stands. He doesn't kick it away. He kicks it back to the Orlando's end line, and he moves on his way. Ah, man, brutal that they give the yellow card there.
It was a tough yellow. And I think somebody pointed it out on the chat or on the X app where they said that was very much an official who was waiting and itching for an opportunity to bring this back to a 10v10. It'll be interesting to hear what the VAR audio is. Maybe this match official did not believe that this was a justified dog so red and was told by the VAR staff that you have to call this and felt annoyed by that and decided, well, I'm going to take the first opportunity I can to make this match level again. I don't know. If that was the case, he certainly succeeded in his task because it was one of the softest yellows I have ever seen. But when you're on a yellow, you can't do that. You just can't do that. When you're a bench player, it gets limited minutes. You can't do that. Do no harm. Yeah. That's your mantra when you go out there.
It was a rough showing from a man.
It's not good. It's not good. But he's scrappy and he hustles, and everyone's going to love him all the same. So I don't think anyone's joy at watching Brett Halsey play has been diminished by this, sadly.
That is all I need. Actually, what I really like on FOTMob is that it shows Brett Halsey, getting the yellow card first. So that's good. So
also, somehow his player rating on FOTMob is not the worst in this game, which is just absolutely horrifying for anyone that's ranked lower than him.
I mean, it is Schlegel getting slightly lower, who got the very early
red card.
Dog so red, but yeah.
We're not covering ourselves in glory here. Yeah, that's not good. But before that, just prior to that, I believe, Kevin Kelsy makes his FC debut. Kevin Kelsy, Kevin Wallace.
Yes.
Can we get my man a jersey that fits, maybe?
It didn't look like it fit, right?
No.
Maybe he's got a weird body type, and like he sits in between.
He's been here for 2 weeks. We can fit him for a kit, right?
Do they tailor the kits for the players?
Look, you're preaching to the choir a little bit on this concept of when you add the extra X on the XL, it does not get as long as it gets wide. The extra X, you're really going out. You're not going down. It's tough. It's why the XLT was invented and is a godsend to those of us who may be vertically unchallenged, I'll say. But even still, one would think we could do a little better than what clearly appeared to be the replica kit fit right there, as opposed to the authentic kit fit.
It looked like a replica kit. Like, is he just like unbelievably skinny?
He's only 19. It might very well be the case.
He's just so rail thin that like there is nothing for the jersey to actually cling on to. So it just looks like he's hanging a shower curtain over his body.
If he's that thin, then Kevin Durant didn't like this nickname, but I think it's the best nickname in all of sports. We might need to start calling him the Slim Reaper, because I really...
I need him to one game winner, and he's Slim Reaper all day, every day.
Kevin Durant has two of the greatest nicknames of all time, the Slim Reaper and the Durantula, and he hates both of them, and it really makes me mad. So we may have to take this.
Durantula is great.
The Durantula is phenomenal. I'm sorry. I don't care what you want to be called. You're called the Durantula if I have the opportunity to call you that. But no, we'll take Slim Reaper back for Kevin Kelsy. I'm declaring it right here. And it's going to be an incredible attack with Yuya Kubo, the silent assassin, and Kevin Kelsy, the Slim Reaper. I mean, that's good shit right there. You can put that on a marketing poster.
So let me ask you this, Chief. We got his debut, give or take a half an hour. What do you think?
He's big.
He's huge.
He's big. You get a sense of the size because he towers over some people out there on the pitch. And when I see that walking around, when I finally see one of our guys walking ahead above everybody else, it moves a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting here thinking to myself, yes, get the ball onto this man's forehead.
I'm just wondering, can we teach taco fall soccer?
Yes.
Like, we need to go bigger. This is.
I thought, okay, so all joking aside, I thought he played well. He's a 19-year-old kid. We are preaching patience, as we always do with U22 signings. Many people are saying that U22 signings, you can't, expect greatness. You just sort of have to act surprised if it happens. But nothing I saw from Kevin Kelsy on Saturday, he looked the part. He didn't look out of place playing in the league. He moved competently, I thought. I thought his touches were okay. There was nothing about him that screamed the moment was too big for him. And the man's played in Champions League before. So why would a Saturday in Orlando, why would that faze you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it. Your thoughts?
I liked it quite a bit. There was at least one moment where he chased the ball down pressing and won it back, which was like a real eye opener for me because it was like, oh, he's quick too, huh? Like, this is fun.
6'4" running at full speed has got to be a little terrifying on a soccer field.
Yeah,
that's big.
And like, sure, there's like tall center backs, but it's not easy to find a 6'4" center back in this league. Like, he's gonna be looming large over a lot of defenders, and I am so excited to see what this team looks like when it is fully operational, as it were. Like, he comes
armed
in
and operational, perhaps.
Yes, he comes in with Acosta leaving and Yedlin having just left. So like some of the main pieces that will make him effective were missing, and hopefully Yedlin and Acosta aren't hurt. I mean, I can't think of the last time Acosta came out that early in a game. Like, it's been a while. So I hope everything is okay there. But assuming it is, like, I'm excited to see him get a full run out. I'm excited to see what the team is able to do with him, because he looks every bit the player that we've been missing.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw enough. I think I'm ready to start him next week.
Yeah. Like,
I saw, like you, I thought his motion on defense and his movement on defense to get involved in the high press, I liked that. He seemed competent in terms of moving around, moving the ball to his teammates. I like that. I'm ready. I want to see it. I want to see more. And I think the way that I want to see more is I want to see him in the starting lineup. And I think I particularly want to see him in the starting lineup with Yuya Kubo. Corey Baird, love you for the goal last week, was utterly invisible in this game. I struggle to think of one thing Corey Baird did in this game.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah. Kubo, God love him, draws a red card, probably should have scored there. Gets a absolutely sick little through ball from Dado Valenzuela late in the game where he probably should have done better on.
Yep.
But I'll take the guy that's getting chances versus the guy that's, you can't find with a search warrant or on the side of a milk carton. They still do that on milk cartons? They still put missing people? Or is that just now a dated reference?
I don't think I've ever seen a missing person on a milk carton before. Maybe that...
I love it as a meme, though. I mean, if you put the photo on the milk carton online, everybody knows what you're going for.
Yeah, why does everybody know it? But like, it's probably been 50 years since it's been a thing.
Just exists as like a muscle memory of society.
And why was that the best way to find missing people?
Just America's dairy industry trying to justify its existence.
Like, why milk? Crackers didn't want to get in on the missing children thing, or loaves of bread.
It's like it would be a real bummer to put it on the side of some zebra cake packaging, I guess, right? Have you seen me? And then one picture on one zebra cake, one on the other one. Pop-Tarts. They should put your picture in a Pop-Tarts box if you haven't been seen in a while.
Ooh, but like on the Pop-Tart itself.
Oh, like some Pop-Tart art, so that when you stack it in the toaster, it's like an actual missing kid.
So
that's kind of fucked up, actually.
Well, here's the thing. So the before picture is like, this is the early, this is the last known photo we have, and then after it toasts, it's like, this is what he might look like now.
Do they have that technology? Can they have some heat changing ink that would like change the Pop-Tart frosting to the before and after? Because I mean, it still works because you famously get 2 Pop-Tarts in a package. So one. Oh, no. If they can do that, one Pop-Tart is the victim.
Yes.
The other Pop-Tart is the alleged perpetrator. Maybe
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
This is what the weird uncle might look like these days. Yeah.
I mean, if they can sponsor a college bowl game, they've got the money to invest in this technology.
You really think that it's a moral failing on their part that they're not doing this?
They get with the program, Pop-Tarts. What the fuck?
Jeez, why are you leaving it up to Milk? And Milk is clearly dropping the ball right now.
Besides, nobody drinks milk anymore. Come on. What is this? Jim Harbaugh?
Jeez.
So Kelsy looks good. Love that for us. Thought Dotto played some good minutes. Yeah. Every time I see Dotto, I want to see more. And like he's another guy where there really isn't a great place for him to play other than replacing Lucho. And replacing Lucho. Yeah, replacing Lucho isn't something you generally want to do. Can he play striker? Can Dotto play up top? Does he have any ability to do this?
I mean, why not? Right? Like,
I don't know.
He's pretty tall. I think he's about 6 foot himself. So it's not like he'd be, Lucho at striker is always funny. Like they do that every so often. I think you can do it. Like, I think you could have him play as a support striker, like a guy that comes back deep for the ball type thing. Essentially what they're having Kubo do, especially if you're going to put Kubo opposite Kelsy. Yeah. So why not? Like Kubo's fine, but
on the subject of Acosta at striker, if Acosta was riding on Kelsey's shoulder, would that person be taller than Victor Wembanyama or not?
No. And
if they did like 2 men in a trench coat, would he be looking eye to eye at Victor Wembanyama?
Yeah, I like the idea of.
Is that legal to put somebody on your shoulders for a corner kick?
Feels like the answer is no. But it'd be funny to see it written out in the rules that you can't climb on another player during a set piece.
Do like the rugby, what do they call that? The hooker, where it's the
where they've got it's like a cheerleading setup where they throw some middleman up into the air to catch it. Yeah,
right. I don't know.
That's good.
So this game ends 1-0. Look, at the end of the day, do I think the FC played well in this game? The answer is no. I don't think they did. I think that Pat Noonan would agree with that take.
Pat Noonan agrees with you, yes.
But always, like my dad pointed this out the other day when I was talking to him. Pat Noonan always seems pissed off. Like Pat Noonan never seems like he's having a great day.
Correct.
He seems perpetually angry and aggrieved at all times. But I would agree in this case, I don't think they played well. But on the other hand, it's a road game that they won. I don't care where you're playing in MLS. Road wins are difficult. Road wins are tough. And getting 3 points on the road, that's big. That's how you stay ahead in the race. That's how you stay ahead for home field in the playoffs. And these are big wins no matter when you can get them. And I think this Orlando team is going to end up being a lot better than where their current position is in the standings. And I think we'll look back on this win as all things told, a good win over a playoff team.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And look, this is the sign of a good team, is that you cannot play well and still win. Like, what more could you ask for here? Your team plays like shit and wins.
More goals you could absolutely ask for.
Well, sure, you can ask for more. But if you knew going in, hey, this is going to be a not good game, whatever it is, vibes are off for FCC. The team is reeling from the Aaron Boupendza news. The team's not going to play its best. You'd still say, yeah, but I want to win though. And they get the win. That's great. Other teams in this league, when they have bad nights or they have off nights, they lose 5-1. Like, this game, you could have seen that given the chances Orlando had, given how ineffectual the attack is for FCC. But it doesn't go that way. FCC still wins. We still smother every attack that comes our way. And yeah, the pieces are still being sorted out. The roster is in flux with Kelsy in and Boupendza functionally out now. I think this is a good sign for this team, that we can say that this team has yet to play its best soccer. We can see it. Like, everybody can see the vision for this team. And while we're trying to get our shit together, we're in second place and with a game in hand on the team ahead. Yeah. I mean, look, Columbus Crew is the, we'll touch more on this later this week, is the scary boogeyman out there, the team that keeps winning everything, the best manager MLS has ever seen. They haven't won a league game in 5 attempts. So I'll take the wins when we can get them.
I want to see this midfield play better. I think the midfield needs to get better. I am very curious to see what the arrival of Kevin Kelsy with full minutes, what that means. I love that Roman Celentano came back and got the clean sheet. That
some big moments from him too.
That means something. I think that means something for him to come back and immediately reestablish positioning. The other person we didn't talk about, gotta name check him here. Ian Murphy, a save off the line to preserve the clean sheet. Mm-hmm. One of the best defensive plays you will see from a center back for last ditch defending, and chef's kiss good. Miles Robinson, solid game. Matt Miazga, solid game.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for all the nonsense and all the noise and all the bullshit this team has gone through this year, and the amount of parts they've replaced and how weird everything has been, and the mostly ineffective attack, sitting in second place, 3rd overall on the table, 2nd place in the East, 3rd overall in the league table. That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you think that there are better performances in the future.
Yes. Yeah. I think there will be. You know, this team is, I would have said incomplete, but now it's kind of complete. And we'll see what Noonan can do.
For now.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Now. There's still some additions that can be made this summer.
One big addition that could be made.
Yeah. So,
which we'll talk about in the next segment, I guess. But
But I like where we're at going, for forward, at least until the summer window. So
yeah. Cool stuff.
Yep.
Part 2.
Let's jump on over to part 2. We'll touch on some FCC news, some MLS news, and then part 3, we've got Patreon questions. So join us over in part 2, eh? And before we head on over to part 2, I want to tell you about our sponsors, Cincy Shirts. These guys, let me tell you about these guys. Do you know about these guys? Let me tell you about these guys. Cincy Shirts has been around from the beginning. If you ask me, and nobody did, Cincy Shirts was instrumental in FC Cincinnati becoming very, very popular and eventually leading to their MLS bid, which is why I am so excited that the Post and the Postcast are able to partner with them. Look, here's the deal. If you use the promo code ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps, when purchasing something from them, you get 10% off, and we get a little bit of money back our way, huh? It also lets them know that you heard about them through our show. And even if that's not true, it makes me feel good, and it makes them feel good. So use that code. Look, they just released some new Hawaiian-style shirts. I don't know if they're actually Hawaiian-style, but some new floral prints for FCC, some button-ups. Get on this. The supplies do not last. However, they do have 3 in-store locations, including a new one over in Loveland, where they can print most of the designs for you on a shirt. The button-ups, I don't think they can do on demand, but they can print those designs on demand in a shirt on any size that you'd like. I've definitely used that service. It is awesome. So again, the promo code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. Knock a couple bucks off of your next order. It works on non-FCC gear too. All right, get yourself an LA De La Cruz shirt or something like that. You're gonna look good in it. You're gonna have a good time. And you're gonna save a couple of bucks doing this. So Cincy shirts, again, cincyshirts.com, link in the description, the code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. A huge thank you to Cincy Shirts for sponsoring this and many other episodes of the Postcast. All right, Chief, we are back and we got a couple of stories here to touch on. I leave it to you. Where do you feel like you want to go first?
Let's keep it with the FC to start out and move outward from there. Aaron Boupendza.
Let's touch on this.
We dedicated a full segment on Thursday to the strange saga that is Aaron Boupendza, a saga that got a little bit stranger, I would say,
yes.
after we recorded the episode and on most of the day, Friday, as it were. What we knew when we recorded on Thursday was that Aaron Boupendza had been involved in an off-field incident that had resulted in him breaking his jaw and requiring surgery. That surgery, according to Pat Brennan, has been completed successfully, and Boupendza is now on his road to recovery sometime in late June, early July, if in fact he returns to this club, which I think, if you couldn't pick up on it from the tone of our conversation on Thursday, I think you, myself, Grayson, and Pat Brennan all think that's very much a maybe as to whether or not we actually see Aaron Boupendza return to this team, or whether or not the club makes a determination that it would be better off if everyone saw other people, as it were. However, on Friday morning, word breaks via The Athletic that, in fact, Aaron Boupendza's jaw issue, off-field incident, was an incident that took place at a bar called Rusconi's. It's a place downtown. Rusconi's, it turns into a nightclub, I believe, at night. It's over on 6th Street downtown. And the perpetrator of the incident, the the dance partner for Aaron Boupendza, was a professional boxer by the name of, am I pronouncing this right? Quashan Toller?
I believe that is the correct pronunciation.
Quashan Toller, who was the person who did the jaw breaking. He is, in fact, a professional boxer here in Cincinnati with a record of 17-2. And if you want to add that to 18-2, you too can make the joke that literally everyone made on the internet as soon as that information was revealed. Kevin, what does this new additional information? We all sort of suspected, and I think I know you, Grayson, and we talked about this before we recorded on Thursday, that we did not want to engage in reckless speculation about what had happened. In the absence of news, we weren't going to attribute malice or wrongdoing or anything like that to Aaron until we had the full version of facts. Does this information now, knowing that his jaw was in fact broken because of a bar fight that he got into with a pro boxer, does this change anything about any of your takes, any of your opinions, or anything that we talked about on Thursday?
I don't think it changes any of the takes. What it does change is my perception of Aaron Boupendza, and that is he is a better striker than I gave him credit for, because this tells me that he is willing to take any and all chances. And despite what the opposition is showing him, he is still willing to get stuck in. And I appreciate that at a striker. You know, sometimes you got to put your body on the line and go for goal. And sometimes it's a professional boxer on the other side of that. So
do you think that as soon as he went down, that there was anyone in the bar or anyone in the area that was just like, get up? You aren't really hurt. We know you're how you soccer players are.
I do wonder, obviously we know it's a bar fight and stuff. It doesn't change anything. I don't know what happened. We know Aaron Boupendza kind of speaks English. He's definitely not English first. He speaks French. So I really struggle to assume that he was like, I don't know, getting into a verbal argument with somebody just because he's probably not very good at that. But also, like,
you learn the important words first whenever you learn a foreign language, though.
Right. I mean, you get to drinking and you can be pretty annoying without speaking the language. So yeah. Do
you think they brought the magic spray out to try and fix things immediately? And when like that didn't work, they were like, "Oh shit, something might be really wrong here."
They're spraying it on his
face. Yeah,
it's just shaving cream at that point.
Well, my overwhelming takeaway from this.
Yeah, what's yours?
Aaron Boupendza, like we already said, the FC Cincinnati striker room was just unlucky this year, that there was a lot of chances that they were just unlucky on, and eventually the strikes would start falling. This is just more of how unlucky Aaron Boupendza has been in calendar year 2024. Because if you're out on a Sunday night at a bar in Cincinnati and you're out drinking, odds are the people around you, it's probably service industry people. You're talking, your DJs that aren't working that night, that worked the night before. You're talking your wannabe social media influencers. You're talking assholes with SoundClouds and shit like that. Those are the other people that you're going to meet in the high roller area of the bar. The unluckiness of the fact the person next to you or the person you're beefing with at the club is a pro boxer that can knock your jaw loose with one punch. That's just awful luck.
It's not good. It does go back to something that Burrow brought up a while ago. That
I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to talk about this too. Go ahead.
Cincinnati doesn't have a nightclub scene, but and this is something that I've definitely heard you say, but like there isn't a great place for like VIPs to section themselves off from the general public, and it does feel like that if such a place existed, it probably would have served Boupendza and potentially Mr. Toller here pretty well. That if there was a place that they could have gone that was a little more secluded or something like that, this might not have happened.
Yeah, it was Burrow got jumped for this comment when he said Cincinnati's kind of boring. There's not a lot to do. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? We've got breweries, we've got the zoo, we've got museums. And it's I'm just begging you online to read between the lines a little bit. When a pro athlete says the city is boring, what they're specifically talking about is that there are no places they can go and feel safe. Joe Burrow ain't showing up to Mad Tree to go drink, because if Joe Burrow shows up to Mad Tree to go drink, it will turn into a endless line of people that want a picture, that want to talk to him, that want to talk and like take pictures of whoever he is out with. If he's out with, I heard he's recently single. So whoever it is that Joe may be sidling up with, athletes don't go out in situations like that. Athletes go out to places where there is a roped off area. There's a VIP area where the regular people can't get to. The only people that get back to that area are the friends of the athlete, or maybe some selectively curated young individuals based on having a second X chromosome and, just passing a vibe check, we'll say. But they're not out there interacting with the regular people. That's not what they want. And in Cincinnati, there's just not a lot of places that are set up like that. Maybe if you want to make some money, you start a VIP area in your brewery and you have some place where the VIPs can go to. If I were Ryan Geist, I'd look into that. I don't know. Yeah. But I know Northern Row has a second floor they're not using. Just clean that up a little bit and offer some bottle service with some of that vodka they distill there. I don't fucking know. But
little private elevator action. Sure.
Yeah, why not? But when you don't have that for the athletes and your pro athletes are just interacting with the regulars and they're not separate areas for each VIP, then, shit happens.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Man, it makes you think there's a business opportunity here.
I mean, there's three pro sports teams. There's a non-insignificant number of potential clients available to you here.
The real sad thing is, though, the one place that does sort of cater to this is Jeff Ruby's. And all I got to say is, look at that man's Twitter interactions. All right. I just
makes a hell of a steak, though. God damn it!
When the story breaks and the accusations start flying, I will say I saw it coming.
Yeah. I don't know. Do we need to start when we recruit players to the FC? Do we need to start doing a vibe check on how much do you like the club? Because if you like the club, this might not be the club for you. That's
a good point. Yeah, you definitely don't want the guy who's like on the private jet to Miami every Monday night or whatever. That's suboptimal. Yeah, that was always the pitch, right? It's like Cincinnati's a great place to raise your family. It's for guys settling down. And then you get into the win now mode and you're like, we need more 19 to 24-year-old guys.
The good news is Kevin Kelsy can't drink and can't get legally into most of these places. So we're good on that front.
Again, this is where a VIP section would be useful because they're probably not checking IDs.
They're definitely not checking IDs. He and Steven Jimenez and I think Dotto's under 21. They can all play Fortnite or whatever it is kids do these days. Yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe we need to check that out a little bit. Maybe there needs to be a little bit of a vibe check on that. This is also, I think, what's interesting about this, and we didn't really talk about this on Thursday. This is our first foray in FC Cincinnati, full on in the MLS era, into the concept of strikers are kind of shitheads. And they're very much like the wide receivers of soccer.
Yes.
They've got a little personality to them. I think Holland over for Man City kills all the food that he eats. And it's all like raw meat, like Liver King style. Mario Balotelli, famously a well-adjusted individual. Like our closest call with this, I think, is GB. And even then, I think we were too new as soccer fans and as a soccer city to appreciate what a true weirdo he was. But this is just part and parcel with strikers. Like great strikers are just strange people a lot of the time.
I would agree with that. Lacadia's side hustle as a want to be DJ was a little window into this. Completely agree. I will say two things with this story. One, I am 100% on the train. And again, forget who brought this up in the Discord. And I'm the worst at citing my sources here. I think this makes me qualified to be president of Harvard, but I'm pretty sure that we can call this the curse of Tommy Heineman, because the strikers we had before Tommy Heineman were Sean Coley and GB Fall. They were fantastic. GB single-handedly damn near won the Open Cup. Sean Coley was league MVP and Golden Boot winner year one for FCC. Tommy Heineman and his busted knees show up. Labor disputes, union disputes, all sorts of fun things happen. We have yet to have a striker do that. Now, I know people will say, oh, Danny Koenig was very good. He was. What happened to Danny Koenig in the playoffs? When we needed him most, he had to leave. He leaves to Europe. We don't get him back. Fernando Adi does Fernando Adi things. Jurgen Locadia, Brenner. Now we're on to Aaron Boupendza.
This is some Brandon Vasquez erasure.
Brandon Vasquez, I mean,
come on. This is some Vasquez erasure.
How can I get Brandon? I mean, Brandon Vasquez, it took a long time for him to be good.
Yeah, but he was good, so...
For 1 year.
2 years, sir.
Good for other teams that second year. He was fine for us. He wasn't a world beater.
He was good. Knock it off.
I like my theory, though.
All right. Keep your take going. I appreciate that.
Well, that's it. Here's the other point, though. My other favorite thing about this event was the Quishon Toller's Twitter activity as like FCC fans start to realize like this guy's name gets out there. Somebody, I will say, ill-advised to tweet at people who are not getting a million ats in general.
Oh, they see your shit. Yeah.
He's going to see it, right? Like if you tweet at Taylor Swift, she'll never see it. You tweet at the guy who has, what was it, 19 professional fights and is suddenly in the news, he's going to see your tweet, okay? Somebody tweets at him, why are you sucker punching people at bars? And he writes back, you could be next, shrug emoji. And then later retweeted a guy who said, who had quote tweeted Tom Bogert's tweet with the story. That person said, shouldn't have messed with my brother. Oh, well, qua what it do. And he retweeted that. So as much as he is the alleged assailant, I'm going to say his Twitter activity pretty well makes him the assailant.
Yeah. Think before you tweet. When you commit a crime, stay offline.
Yeah, somebody can run their mouth at you, and if you break their jaw, I'm pretty sure it's still illegal.
Yeah. Felonious assault, man. F2 carries with it the presumption of prison. Let's cool it a little bit here on Twitter too. Worth pointing out. The Saudi Arabian fans that are still mad that Aaron Boupendza missed a PK at one point, boy, are they the biggest scumbags on the planet. And boy, do I wish for horrible things for their team. There is not a single team and a single fan base that is worse than these dickheads.
I compare that to how FCC fans would still tweet at Lakadia when he was playing in Iran, being like, way to go. So excited for you. Dude. We had no reason to like him. He was not very good here. He had plenty of horrible misses for us. But we're all still we're rooting for him, hoping he does well, hoping he escapes Iran. No, not the Saudi fans. Saudi fans see something terrible happen to a guy who was, by all accounts, very good for them. Man, they got nothing. They got nothing but hate.
These people suck. They're the worst.
Pretty rough.
Where are we going next, Kevin?
Let's touch on this. Enter Miami. It's just insane what is happening with Enter Miami. This ended up in our feed here, in our rundown, I should say, as we were looking at the table, realizing, wow, FCC, still doing pretty good. Only conceded 9 goals. That's really good for this league, for this team in general. 9 conceded goals, I'm pretty sure is the lowest in the league.
Tied for the best with the Columbus Crew.
Columbus and Salt Lake.
And Columbus has played 1 fewer match than us as well. So
correct. This is pretty good. And then we're looking at the pluses, because Salt Lake City has scored 5 more than us, right? That's damn. You look at it and you go, wow, I wish we could do that. Crew 1 less than us, but again, game in hand, and they're always good for some goals. Then I noticed there's only 2 teams that have scored into the 20s in terms of total number of goals. We got 20 goals for the Portland Timbers, and the LA Galaxy have 21 goals at the time of me looking at this table. Chief, what is Inter Miami sitting at there?
32.
That's too many goals.
That's a lot of goals. 32. They have scored 19 more goals than us. And before you point to the fact that, yes, they still inexplicably have played an extra game to keep them at the top of the table, which, I buy that conspiracy theory. But what's not a conspiracy theory is they've scored 32 goals.
You can take 10 of their goals away. They're still the highest scoring team in the league. That is, you can take the last 2 games they've played. They scored 6 against New York Red Bulls yesterday. They dropped 4 against New England, beat Nashville before that 3-1. It's kind of insane. You got to go back all the way to March 23rd, where New York Red Bulls beat them 4-0. This is a game that Messi does not play. And Miami got their revenge. And Messi got his revenge. He subs into this game at halftime and contributes the single largest number of goal contributions in one game. And he does it in a half. Look, I bring this up not because we get clicks for mentioning Miami. It doesn't really work that way with podcasts.
No, he started this game.
Did he start? Okay.
Yeah, he started this game. Yeah. Even still.
Jesus Christ. That's what it is. The first goal contribution comes in the 48th minute. The first goal from Miami. So they don't even score to the 48th minute. And then
they end up scoring 6.
Off to the races. I bring this up because hand up. This one is one I totally got wrong. I thought Miami would suck this year. I really thought you couldn't put this many old guys in a team and it would work.
I mean, you're not wrong in this regard, in that they might still end up being a pretty mediocre team. It's just that, like, you have to wait for travel and the sheer number of games and the length of the season. You've got to wait for that to see if it catches up to them. And you won't see the result of that until we get into like the July and August stretch of things. But they'll get a nice break at Leagues Cup time where they take some time off, especially if they don't really put a lot of effort into winning Leagues Cup, which we'll see. We'll see the level of effort that gets out of Inter Miami. But you know what? The sheer amount of talent collected on this team when it's healthy is mind-boggling for MLS.
And it's really dumb that they'll probably add more to it.
Yeah, because the rules don't matter. And they'll get more U22 spots, at least one, right?
Yeah. This is where Grayson's more helpful here. I think that they'll get at least one more U22 spot this summer if those rules pass.
And it's like there is no team that is better situated to use the U22 spot, because the pitch can be, you want to play with your childhood hero?
Yeah.
Come on down.
They can go compete, and they did with Redondo. Hey, you can go play for Real Madrid. That's true. Or you can play with Messi for a couple of years and then make your move to Europe. And these guys are taking them up on the deal.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then Messi can pay whatever he needs on the side. You know, that's happening, too, for some of these guys.
Yeah, let's be real. That's what's happening here. This is the loophole, which is you pay your DP an unlimited amount of money, which sure is well within the rules. And then that DP can turn around and Venmo his best buds $10K a game, right, or whatever it is, and keep everything afloat.
So 32 goals. They have a positive goal differential of 14. They've conceded 18, which, you know, if you want to find some flaw in what they're doing, there you go, is that the defense hasn't been great, but it doesn't need to when, again, you're scoring 32 goals. When we sit here a month from now, will Inter Miami still be in first place, Kevin?
I've doubted them once. I'll doubt them again.
There we go.
No.
I love it.
It's too much.
I love the energy.
I don't doubt that they are a good team, and I at this point, but as you said, like it's too much. So they got to go May 11th, May 15th, May 18th, May 25th, back to back to back to back. Only one of those is a home game, and that is Montreal, Orlando, Vancouver. Woo!
On the turf, BC Palace. Yeah, it works right up until it doesn't. It works right up until Luis Suarez's knees give out. And all this stuff can happen at a moment's notice. And we saw last year that Messi can and does. He's getting to an age where injuries amount. And if they lose him for any extended period of time, or they lose Suarez for any extended period of time, it's not like they can go find one of those in the transfer window. So,
Yep. So that's a fun one. Chief, what else you got for us?
We got to talk about this, too. The Columbus Crew have made it to the CONCACAF Champions League. Don't call it the Champions Cup on this podcast. We call it the Champions League still. We still respect the CCL. The Crew have made it to the CCL final by beating Monterrey in Mexico and beating them convincingly in Mexico.
Yeah.
Kevin, I've put out there on Twitter this week, and we'll have a robust discussion with when Grayson returns this Thursday. I've put out there that the Crew right now are best manager in the continent, maybe one of the best front offices on the continent. This sucks, right?
It does suck.
Yeah,
this
sucks.
Suck. This feels a lot like when the Reds had a really great rivalry with the Cardinals for a long time there, but like the Cardinals just kept winning World Series.
Yeah.
The Reds just kept signing like Scott Rowland at the tail end of his career.
Right. Where like the Reds, like during the Walt Jocketty years, the Reds had a really good front office and they had a really good team. And their rival, quote unquote, had a better front office.
Yes.
A better manager and a better team. It was like Dusty Baker was really good. Tony La Russa was better. It was infuriating that happened to be the case. You know what else sucks about? You know what else sucks about this? They didn't have a game this week because they had the midweek game against in the CONCACAF Champions League. They beat Monterrey. They have the weekend off. They had a full week to prepare for what's coming next week, and that is also annoying.
That does suck. I mean, here's the thing, right? And I mentioned it before on this podcast. Like, Columbus Crew is not doing great in the league. They're doing okay in the league. They're not doing great in the league. They've drawn their last 5 matches, which sure is like balancing the needs of the international tournament there. But, you know, I do want that to factor into people saying like, oh, Nancy can take like a team of teenagers and beat anybody. He can't. Like, he'd be doing it if he could in the league here. And while I am like, you know,
they beat Monterrey in Monterrey like that. We went over the stat for how rare it is that an MLS team wins in Mexico, to say nothing of like advancing against the series against a Mexican opposition. They went down to Monterrey and kicked the shit out of them.
It is true. And that was very well done by them. Don't get me wrong. But it also took them penalties to get past Tigres, where they never beat Tigres once in that tie. So like, I don't want that to be lost here. And they still have to win the damn thing because they are a game against Pachuca away from getting as many CONCACAF Champions League titles as us, which is nothing. And
but they don't have to play America. They already beat Monterrey.
But let me offer you this. Pachuca, sneaky, one of the best Mexican clubs of the last 15 years. They have 5 CONCACAF Champions Cups. 2002, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 10, and 2016-17. They finished 3rd place in the FIFA Club World Cup back in 2017. They are the only North American team to have ever won a South American tournament. They won the Copa Sudamerica when Mexican teams participated in that. That's essentially the the Europa League of South America. They won it back in 2006. This is a team that regularly wins titles. They won the Apertura in 2022, for example, and they are a very successful team that themselves had to beat America to get into this tournament. So, look, they played New England. And they beat them 9-2 on it. Or that was Club America. They had to beat a Costa Rican club. They beat them 7-1 on aggregate. This Pachuca team beat Philadelphia 6-0 on aggregate. Like, this is not a pushover. And yes, it's not the brand name. It's not the jersey that you see floating around TQL Stadium on a random FCC versus, I don't know, Nashville game. But Crew isn't out of the woods yet here. Pachuca's a good team.
All right, you sold me on not being completely defeatist. Because this sucks. I'm really annoyed by this.
It does suck. But look, we can still hate watch it. We can still
no, I'm not watching any of this. Not one goddamn minute. No, sir.
We can still
I'll wait
pull
till
for
later.
Pachuca. Okay,
Yeah,
like
right.
I feel confident that this is not Cruz for the taking completely. And granted, the performance in Monterrey was very good, sure, but no, I mean at this point. They've won as many CONCACAF Champions Leagues as we have. So
many people are asking, is Brandon Vasquez incapable of beating Columbus?
I did really buy into the narrative that Brandon Vasquez was going to beat Miami and Columbus to defeat the 2 teams that knocked him out of semifinals last year. And
turns out
didn't quite work.
Didn't quite work.
Oh,
yeah. Well, fuck them anyway.
There you go. Chief, should we answer some Patreon questions and get out of here?
Let's answer some Patreon questions.
Let's do it. Folks, the Post is looking for a summer intern. Yes, this is actually real. We are taking applications right now for a summer intern to help us with social media and content creation. If you are in the journalism, sports journalism, content creation, this has got your curiosity, we want you for very cheap labor and for funny stuff. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of thought going into this other than we think it'd be fun. We do think we have a role sketched out for this person. We'd be more than happy to write you a lovely recommendation and, maybe connect you to some folks in this industry along the way. If you are interested or know somebody who may be interested, check it out on the website. There are links to the website in the description. But going to the website, there will be directions on how to apply as well as the sort of formal job posting there. So if you sound like, you're the type of person for this gig, let us know. And we would love to have a summer intern. This is real. I don't know how else to say this. This is actually real. All right, we are back. Chief, there's another ad there. What just happened?
Are you serious? We're getting an intern? This is such a stupid idea.
Look, it's not clear to me that anybody will take us up on this, but I want to be clear.
If anyone applies to this, I want to be notified immediately.
It is a real offer, okay? I know there's a whole stigma against not paying interns.
But we don't get paid, so it's okay. We're not treating them any worse than anything else that we're doing to ourselves.
I don't want this to be seen as not paying an intern. I want it to be seen as we are going to pay an intern as much as the executive leadership of the Post.
Can we, if we have an intern, can we have them sitting here on the Zoom while we record like AJ Hawk on the Pat McAfee show, just not saying anything the entire time?
I think contractually we have to, because all of the recommendations are to bring them into important business meetings. And this is almost the only time we get together to talk. So.
We're going to an undisclosed location to go watch Hell is Real next weekend. That'll be fun.
That is true. So yeah, no, if there's a college student in your life who is looking for a very, dare I say, easy way to get some credits, send them our way. Okay?
It's not financially lucrative, but we will say anything to this person's professor about the job they did. Quite literally.
I'm not saying there is.
I write a mean recommendation letter.
Well, and I introduce them to people in the industry. Come on, it's a networking opportunity, and I'm not saying they're not getting paid. Period. I just can't offer a pay your rent salary. But there might be some cash offerings there,
like a T-shirt from Street Side or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get crazy, but there might be a beer,
If they're of legal drinking age.
Of course, that is true.
That is true. Yes,
would not break a law here. Chief, I've got questions for you. Speaking of not getting paid, hey, we got Patreon questions.
There we go.
These pay the bills, all right? So this keeps the pirate ship afloat. So if you want to join these very lovely, very attractive people who are making poor financial decisions to support the Post and the Postcast, you may join them. There's a link in the description of every podcast.
Yeah, if you want to tell me via a question that my takes on Hell is Real suck, it's going to cost you $2 to do that. Because I'm not listening to you unless you can confirm you're a Patreon or a patron.
It's like the blue check on Twitter. If you don't have the highlighter pink in the Discord, your opinions are second class. Okay, that's very important here. We need Grayson for this one, so we'll come back to this one. This is a good one. It's Star Trek, and I know he's got Star Trek feelings.
We both do.
This question comes from Nick Keevy. I'm very excited to read a question from Nick Keevy.
I have seen Norbit, yes.
That's all it was. I just wanted to know. Nick wants to know, what is your dream TIFO design or stadium stunts? Cards, streamers, etc. I've thought about this before.
All right, you go first then.
Okay, so I have always loved the idea of leaning heavily into like heavy metal imagery for Hell is Real. I think that is where the effort should be. But I would love, and if this has to go against the fire marshal's wishes for one time, so be it. I need like kind of what I'm imagining is like Death Eaters at the Quidditch World Cup. I need people in other sections around the stadium. Maybe they're hooded, maybe they're not. The hoods are optional here. They pop black smoke, but the whole stadium fills with black smoke as the tifo goes up, and then the Bailey lights up with red and orange smoke. But I want black smoke throughout the stadium of people standing at different sections, or just like, you know, we get people that we know in different parts of the stadium to set off black smoke. I think it'd be really cool to fill the whole stadium.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool if you had people like strategically posted around the stadium so that every section can enjoy that awful sulfur smell of the Bailey. I like that.
Adds to the atmosphere.
I like that. My take would be, so we've had some really cool tifo designs over the years.
Yes.
I really liked the Samurai Jack tifo we did. I thought that was just a really cool. I like whenever we lean into pop culture, but I like when we lean into pop culture where it's just a hair off center, where it's not like the super mainstream pop culture. I'm a Star Wars fan. I never need to see a Star Wars tifo ever. Yeah. Don't need it. It's been done to death before. I love if Orlando City was talking expanded universe, major props. You know, I could possibly get behind something like that, but you gotta be showing me Mara Jade if we're doing a Star Wars tifo, or it's gotta be something. It's gotta be a deep cut like that. I loved the Doom tifo we did. I would really like to get more into 16-bit, 8-bit era video games as the inspiration for what we're doing. You know, there's so much gold to mine from that era, from between like, I'll say like 1988 to 1998 in terms of, let's get a Mega Man tifo with like the level select with the various robots like up there, where a lot of them have been eliminated and there's just one left maybe. Like Crewman would be really, really funny to design, I think. Let's get a Chrono Trigger one doing like the fight against Lavos. That would be badass, just like rising up to do Luminaire in the middle of it, like a moving component. More video game, like old school video game references is where I'm at.
I like that. You know,
Aaron Boupendza's Punch Out. I don't know.
It writes itself. I like, you know, we could do like a Fallout tifo, but it's like a Fallout 1 tifo.
Oh, the isometric grid design? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm into this. Kid Icarus. Let's go old school, really kick it back there.
Oh, yeah.
No one's on a Metroid tifo, I bet. That would be fun.
Metroid tifo for Cincy NWSL team?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, into that.
Fun fact about Metroid. So apparently an American studio pitched to Nintendo having Samus like do bounty hunter missions, because Samus is a bounty hunter in the Metroid games, and that she would like go and like collect bounties on these aliens that she'd track down and get paid, and with every bounty she would get like upgrades and stuff to make it easier to do it. Everybody thought that sounded awesome, and Nintendo hated the idea of her going out and capturing criminals, and it came to find out that the Japanese working on that game did not know what a bounty hunter was. They just thought it sounded awesome.
That's super on brand, actually, for Nintendo back in the day.
Really is.
Yeah. Great game design, English localization. Not the best. Not the best.
They thought Donkey Kong would translate to Crazy Monkey, if that gives you some sense of like what they were trying to do with Donkey Kong.
Yeah. So if you have good ideas for video game tifos, shoot them out in the Discord, shoot them out to me on Twitter, and I'll pass them along to people who won't use them, I'm sure, because I can't design any of this shit.
Get another question here from Brock Bermel. Asks a great question. Which current FCC striker will have the most goals at the end of the season, and how many? I feel like the how many is a little hard, but I am way into which striker ends the season with more goals.
We're not considering Lucho Acosta a striker for this question.
I am not. I am going to say your options here are Kelsy, Kubo, Baird, Boupendza, and I will let you
Santos?
pick. Santos,
Yeah.
and we've got Ben Stivitz in FCC2, and the other guy, Chilleritz or whatever,
Who the smart money might be on, given the pace he's at with FCC2 right now.
I think he's on 42 goals all competitions so far this year.
Jesus. I am going to say Kevin Kelsy.
Kevin Kelsy finishes as the leading goal scorer for strikers.
Yeah. What does Kubo have right now? 3?
3.
Okay. So that might be. Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say Kevin Kelsy, and he's going to score 9 goals this year.
Kevin Kelsy with 9 would be good. Yeah. Yuya Kubo has 3. Boupendza has 2. Baird has 1. So that's your current striker lineup here.
I think if I was power ranking these, I would say Kevin Kelsy has the best chance. Yuya Kubo has the second best chance, and the third best chance, I will go to player not on the roster right now.
I was gonna pick that.
Then go for it. Player not on the roster right now.
I'm gonna say the inevitable Aaron Boupendza replacement is going to lead the team in goals, and I'm gonna say this individual gets 10 goals in their
wild. Time. That many goals in that short of a time period, and then what'll happen is he'll go into next season and we'll have great expectations, and he just won't gel with the roster for some reason.
Tommy Heineman pulls him aside, gives him talking to.
Sir, you're not following instructions.
Damn, it's annoying. I love that question. I hate that that's a question. And it's not just like, oh, Brenner Vasquez. Like, this will be fun. It's like, oh, Jesus. Like, Baird could be our leading goal scorer at striker with 5 goals at the end of the year.
I guess as long as Lucho scores 30, I guess it's not.
Lucho does have 5 so far this year, just to round it out. Let's see. I got one more for you. This is a good one. Josh Burke says, and I don't know if he went back and edited this because the note starts off with, I typed this before Boop's jaw news, which is good. My hope is that Kevin Kelsy and Boupendza play well off of each other and gel into a goal-scoring machine with Baird and Kubo coming off the bench to sub for them. My question is, what is the best value menu in fast food, and why is it that Taco Bell is the answer? I love that
Taco
question,
Bell's
Josh.
value menu is sneaky expensive, actually.
I will say all of fast food is expensive these days.
Sneaky expensive. The best value in fast food, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Jack in the Box because you got like the 2 tacos for 99 cents that'll always hit the spot in a pinch.
Yeah.
And their Jack in the Box burgers are pretty good.
The 5 for $5 or the biggie bag, I forget what Wendy's calls it these days. There's usually a $5 combo that's solid offering.
Yeah, in the Wendy's value menu, you can get like a chicken sandwich. You got like a double stack that's usually pretty good and some nuggets. You can make yourself a pretty good meal out of that as a value menu. McDonald's value menu is kind of trash. Remember the dollar menu at McDonald's? How quaint does that sound these days? It used to be able to order things for $1 on a fast food menu.
Let me tell you, family of 4... If you're not really focusing on price, it's easy to rack up a $30, $40 bill running through the drive-thru trying to run between, sports sessions real quick. Man, you look at that bill. Oh.
I was watching a YouTube video, I was watching a bunch of old school political ads for just bear with me on this.
I do this sometimes too. Nostalgia TV channels.
There was a commercial that I remember in my lifetime where Taco Bell was advertising the 69, 79, 99 cent menu. There were menu items at Taco Bell for 69 goddamn cents.
There used to be a food challenge. This was great, especially if you're on like the high school football team, where it was you were given $20, but you had to eat $20 worth of food at Taco Bell.
Which like nowadays, that's lunch.
Yeah, that's like a couple of Crunchwrap Supremes. But back in the day, it was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could eat 15 tacos. It's like,
I don't know, man. The concept of the value menu, I feel like once you got away from everything was $1, it kind of like lost everything that was going on with it. And also the value I've noticed, especially with Taco Bell, the value menu has been a victim of shrinkflation. Like a lot of the items you're getting are very, very small, not tasty or filling at all.
It's shrinkflation. The quality sucks. Not that like fast food was ever great, but like wherever they could cut, they cut. And I know the inevitable comeback is, oh, well, y'all wanted a higher minimum wage. This is what happens. No, their profit margins went up during this time period. OK, if the profit margin went down or even stayed the same, I say you have an argument. It went up. They're playing you. I hate it.
Also, you can tell specifically with Taco Bell when you order the value menu that there's no care put into making it. Like the tortilla is not warmed up. Like
no,
like that. Like when you're buying the $4 or the $5 burrito, it's like, okay, no, somebody put some effort into this. You're buying like the $1.50 burrito. It's basically a tortilla, like cold tortilla with, you know, the barest hint of ingredient on the inside.
Taco Bell, especially if you have like enough, is one of the few fast foods that gets better as long as you leave it in the bag for like the drive home. Right. It's like everything just sort of like warms itself to like a nice even medium. Usually that's bad for fast food, but like you said, like you throw on a cheese and bean burrito there at the end. You need it to pick up the heat off of your combo box to get you somewhere.
What I will say, okay, so where Taco Bell definitely wins this conversation is that with the inclusion of the various types of sauces, the Diablo, the fire, and the hot sauce specifically, and if they have the Verde sauce, oh, we're in business right here.
Good stuff. With
the inclusion of the sauces, you can make things, you can vary it up a little bit. Like the Burrito Supreme or the Crunchwrap Supreme, if you have the fire sauce on that and part of it, and the Diablo sauce on a different part, it's kind of like getting two different items. So you can flip the variety up a little bit based on the sauce that you choose. And there's a non-insignificant amount of value in that, I think.
I like that. Yeah, I can't think of any other contenders for a fast food.
I think I would put it down to Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, and Wendy's. Those are the only ones that I think were like their value menu is like I could see myself ordering off the value menu.
You know what is the opposite of this question is Arby's. I don't know what is up with Arby's, but I feel like it's always 50% more expensive than I think it's going to be.
Right.
So
I also just never go to Arby's. I should do that more often. Or Burger King. I couldn't tell you one thing on the Burger King value menu.
Burger King had
the rodeo burger is pretty badass, though. I did like the rodeo burger back in the day.
They had the best spicy chicken sandwich and then ruined it. Oh, man. That was so disappointing.
The King needs to do it. The breakfast at Burger King used to be great, too. They used to sell like this enormous omelet sandwich that was like 3,000 calories. It was so good. I love fast food. It's like my biggest vice, and my wife hates the fact that I enjoy it as much as I do. As well as my primary care physician as well, I imagine, doesn't like that I love it so much.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I know everything wrong with it, and I can't stop.
It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. But I'm a trash panda when it comes to what I eat. Like I don't care. I do not care at all.
They got their hooks in me, baby. Yeah, Chief, I think that's going to do it. We need more questions.
I think I want some Taco Bell now. You know what else I want to? I have been craving Chinese food since that conversation with Roman.
It's true. I mean, Postcast hasn't gone to Szechuan in a hot minute.
And I saw the review. Szechuan is in the boat. It's between the 3.5 and a 4.
I do.
So is my place, the Double Dragon over in Norwood, the best Chinese takeout place in all of Cincinnati. 3.9.
Nice. Right in the sweet spot.
Yeah. It's good. Kevin, many people are asking, since this is Hell is Real week, do we bring back the old school close to the postcast, or do we wait to see the outcome of the game and potentially bring it back after the game this coming weekend?
No, my vote is always chat your shit when you can. I say we bring it back this week.
This week?
Just,
and then
just
if we lose, is it my fault then because we were talking shit before we were able to talk shit?
If what you say on this podcast influences what happens on the field, we have way bigger issues.
Yeah, but I'm superstitious like that. I believe that I can change things.
Well, If it makes you feel better, we have won and lost games with the current and the previous tag. So I don't think anything is undefeated or an unblemished record is up for debate here.
I think we're going to save it for the game day.
Okay.
I think that's where we're going to be on this.
We can do that.
So,
well, then,
go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.